I am very interested in all things related to the creative use and misuse of AI technology, especially when it comes to things like deepfakes. There are tons of really cool things that we can do that will up our creative game, that will do really good things for our security programs, our security awareness programs, for education, for YouTube content creation, all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, anybody with a bad actor mentality can also use these tools to do very, very devious things. And we're going to see more and more and more of that over the next few years. So let me show you this new research out of ByteDance. And yeah, if you're familiar with ByteDance, those are the owners of TikTok as well. So they have lots of data that they can train from and lots of reasons to try to get this right to enable creators, but also for general research purposes, and then anything maybe on the nefarious side as well when it comes to the global warfare that is in effect constantly. So out of ByteDance comes this new model called OmniHuman-1. And I'm going to show you a little bit about this real quick. Let me pull up the paper. And really smart folks behind this. So even when I talk about things like disinformation and misinformation and the misuse of these technologies, I do not want to downplay the genius of the people that are behind this technology, and then also the potential good that can come from doing this well. So I'm always trying to think through both lenses. But as you know, as a cybersecurity professional, my primary job is to think about the creative misuse of these technologies. And I want to show you OmniHuman-1. Again, this comes out of ByteDance. And here is their TLDR. And actually, one of the interesting things about this piece of technology, it is a single image to video technology. And so you'll be able to see a single image that's fed into the system. They then put an audio track with that, and it animates the image. This is nothing new. We've been seeing lots of these, and if you've seen some of my other videos, you've seen me demonstrate those. But maybe actually, rather than me read this text, I'll go to one of those other pieces of technologies, and you'll be able to see an animated version of me read this text. I'm going to pop open HeyGen. We are now in a piece of software called HeyGen, and they create virtual avatars. A lot of these are like if you saw the celebrity deepfake video that I made, where you capture a piece of video and it figures out how to loop the movements and do the lip sync with that. That's essentially what this software is known for. However, there are these other avatars that you can import. You can also do a video of yourself. So you see me in a hotel room there, not looking very awake, some other versions in front of my computer here. But you also can upload a photo or a sketch or something else and animate that. So I'm going to go to a project that I created here where I had this talk about OmniHuman-1. This is labeled OmniHuman-2 right now because this was my second try at doing this. So this is pretty horrific, but we'll have this read that text. We propose an end-to-end multimodality conditioned human video generation framework named OmniHuman, which can generate human videos based on a single human image and motion signals, e.g. audio only, video only, or a combination of audio and video. In OmniHuman, we introduce a multimodality motion conditioning mixed training strategy, allowing the model to benefit from data scaling up of mixed conditioning. This overcomes the issue that previous end-to-end approaches face due to the scarcity of high-quality data. OmniHuman significantly outperforms existing methods, generating extremely realistic human videos based on weak signal inputs, especially audio. It supports image inputs of any aspect ratio, whether they are portraits, half-body, or full-body images, delivering more lifelike and high-quality results across various scenarios. So that was a fairly horrific little video. I love the avatar that is sketched out, but then like the human teeth in that, it's so disturbing. But anyway, let's go back over to the paper. And what you'll see here also is currently we do not offer services or downloads anywhere. This is because they are actively trying to stop people from misusing this. So I appreciate that. But the research is out there. And that's the thing that we'll notice with a number of research papers. As the research gets out there, the methodology becomes known. And then other people start to adapt. They start to bring that in and create new products, new services, and new ways of doing things that incorporate these ideas. So the research paper being out there is the first step. And we can expect that within the next 6 months to a year, there's going to be lots of services that you and I have access to, along with cyber criminals and everybody else that can utilize the learnings that are represented here. So sciencey stuff, you can get into this if you want to. I just wanted to be able to show you the outputs. These generated videos here that have the singing with them are, frankly, they're interesting, but they're not that great. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is an AI generated image is what it looks like. And you can see that there's some issues with the guitar and everything else. But when you hear this person sing, the motions don't seem natural. The way that she's interacting with the instrument is not accurate. So this is not great, but it's, again, them showing the direction that they're going.
Club isn't the best place to find a lover, so the bar is where I go. Me and my friends sat the table low in shots, drinking fast, and now we talk slow.
Yeah, so interesting. Still not great, but if you were going to do an animated video, you could certainly find creative uses for that. And we see more of that. Here's somebody singing, playing the piano. Trust me, it does not match up very well, but it's still interesting. This is pretty horrifying. It's pretty horrifying and cool. So here's a broccoli, which is horrifying on its own. And we'll see what it sounds like and looks like when it's talking.
Oh, hey, 你们是怎么发现我的？虽然我知道这样说有点不合适，但是为了你们的健康着想，希望你们记得多吃蔬菜。
Yeah, pretty horrifying. But again, for creative use, for character animation, that is really, really cool. But let's go over to the thing that I'm more interested in as somebody who does cybersecurity and deepfake research, the animation of humans. People that can look very lifelike and might be used deceptively someday. So here's somebody giving a TED Talk. There's a reference link here. This is link 1. It shows where they got the initial frame from and where they cloned the voice from, or got the audio from, I should say. But this is a single frame image. They say that the single frame image for this is usually the first image that is in this clip. So assume that they just took a screenshot of this image from the TED Talk, grabbed some audio or created new audio, put that in the model, and here's what comes out as the fully generated AI deepfake of putting these two things together. Again, single image creation.
We will become. And I know about this because I had the opportunity to stand on top of the Olympic podium and feel the weight of that gold medal around my neck. And I wouldn't have been there had it not been for the...
Pretty good, right? And we'll see more and more of these. The thing that I want you to notice about this model specifically is you'll notice when they're doing gestures with their hands, they like symmetry between both hands. There's a lot of this going on and much less of gesturing with one hand or alternating. So if I was going to tell somebody about tells for this model, that would be one of the things that I have somebody look for, but it's not a great tell, right? Because a lot of people, even during this video, I've been gesturing with both hands simultaneously. It's just something that I've noticed with this model specifically. Here is an example that I think looks pretty horrific. I don't think that this one looks good at all, but the lip sync is pretty interesting.
Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, aren't we on the same team?
There's definitely just this eye is messed up. The face does not look natural at all. There's a lot to not like about this generation. But again, these are not about showing perfection. These are about showing direction. And then here we go. Here's one more.
What would art be like without emotions? It would be empty. What would our lives be like without emotions? They would be empty of values. So a famous classical poet said, "We hate and we love." Can one
Again,
tell
notice
me why?
both hands moving at the
Catullus.
same time. A lot of symmetry.
Science does not answer why questions.
The cool thing is, though, if I go back, you'll see that he's gesturing with his pen in one hand, which is, or some kind of object in one hand, which is, I guess those are glasses. Looks pretty cool.
And we love. Can one tell me why? Catullus. Science does not answer why questions.
That adds a lot to the believability of something like this, I think. So then they get into diversity of image types, and we've got these different characters represented here. I'll just grab one of these.
Yes, this is his position, in 2 words. A little while since he obtained an excellent offer of employment abroad from a rich relative of his, and he had made all his arrangements to accept it.
Yeah, really good animation. This one here is interesting too, because there's an animal in frame along with the human face. So the model has to be able to reconcile between those two and still try to make everything look lifelike. So let's see what that looks like.
希望我的小猫永远健康，永远快乐，长命百岁，好不好？
Notice how the cat's ear is moving and flicking. That shows an awareness of the way that these other things that are in frame might behave. That's really interesting. That's one of those things that is going to be very deceptive for a lot of people. So half-body cases with hands. This is where, again, if you're thinking about the creative misuse of these things, the deceptive use of these, this is where somebody would be able to create a fairly compelling piece of disinformation, making somebody say something they never said, do something they never did. Now imagine this with your favorite celebrity or your favorite political figure or your most hated celebrity or your most hated political figure. That is where something like this comes in. So I'll show you this. Again, this is taken from a single image. That's the thing you have to remember. Single image snapshot of somebody, and then they feed in the audio track.
Give people something to believe in, and they will move from you and me.
Notice the symmetry between the hands, but the hand movement looks pretty good, looks pretty natural. Here's another one, TED Talk, single image and animated with the audio.
I work when I get the accolades, when I go in fleets and flights, and when people say that they have read my autobiography or they have read my books, then I understand that what.
So here's the interesting thing about this one. Let me go back to that initial frame. See these 2 rings on this hand. This is all the model had to work with. When it generated the other hand, because it actually created that so that it could start to gesture with it, it replicated those exact 2 rings on the other hand.
I work when I get the accolades, when I go in fleets and flights, and when people say that they have read my.
Now, is that bad? I don't think that's bad. It's believable, but it is something interesting that I noticed looking at this. I didn't notice that the first time. Here's another example.
This was how I was making an impact in the lives of my 60 students. So
in isolation, these are very, very believable. Seeing them in sequence, though, you can start to see some of those tells that, all these movements are very, very timed, very, very symmetrical with both hands. And I think that that's going to be an interesting thing that this model or any other one that starts to make its way into creative use is going to have to overcome. Here's one with somebody on a subway or bus using a phone.
我不后悔遇见你，更不后悔喜欢上你。谢谢你给我带来的快乐，只希望你每天都开心。
Yeah, pretty good on its own. This one I didn't really like the output of this one, but it's okay. You could start to make something like this believable with some different edits or crop ins in different places. For me, the physics around the way that this glass and the liquid within the glass interacts doesn't seem fully real to me, but again, it's directional. in the research. So I think that it's really good that they're still sharing this, even though for me it's a fail.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a new client of Home Instead and friend and former neighbor of Lori and Paul Hogan, I am so honored to be chosen to offer the invocation.
Notice the waves
this
in the
evening.
background, though. It's really cool. So it animated the landscape very well. There's some interesting colors that are coming in, but when you see that in motion, it didn't seem like a tell. More than anything, the way that the glass and the liquid within the glass were animated didn't seem good for me. So then there's more portrait cases of being able to see the lip sync. I mean, I'll just pick one of these. Actually, we'll do two of these because one with a mask, and I think that's an interesting test. So here is this one.
And just explore all the musical theater options out there, but don't just stick for the song that everyone thinks is amazing. Back in the 80s, men, remember? No man, no madness. So no one was.
If you saw that on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, I don't think any of us, me included, would think that was a deep fake. I think that is really, really good. Let's look at this with the mask. Keep in mind, ByteDance is an Asian company. Mask wearing is extremely within the culture. And so there's tons and tons of examples of this that's been put in training data. Then, of course, COVID-19 comes along, and that was normalized around the world and added more and more to the training data. So there should be enough here that it could make this fairly convincing. Let's have a look.
现在住台南，租房子，因为工作的关系。
I don't know that I have an opinion. If I saw it on a YouTube short or an Instagram reel or a TikTok video, I probably wouldn't question it. Here in this context, when his mouth was moving and you would see it snap into that position, that looked a little bit fuzzy to me, but I think that may also be my mind playing a trick on me, looking for a reason to not believe it. So I don't know. And when we get to that I don't know type of result from any of us, that's where we've crossed into the area of these kinds of things are changing our perception of reality and the way that we have to interact with media that's in front of us. So there's a lot of singing examples. I think all these got pulled down for copyright strikes. Compatibility with video driving. This is really, really interesting too. So if I make this bigger, you'll see over here in the top left is the real image. So when we talk about video driving, we're talking about uploading a video rather than a single image, and then that being used to create some of the animation cues for the final output. So here you'll see up in the top left is the real image. The top right is the still image and then animated with the audio. Bottom left is the image plus audio plus body plus hand. So they're able to do motion mapping of the person that's in the video and grab body movements. You know, are they moving laterally? Are they moving up and down, forward and back? How are they moving in space? And then also image plus audio plus hand. So they're able to detach the hand movements from the body movements and animate those in different ways. So this is going to be interesting to have a look at.
But how do we produce food without destroying nature? How do we deliver to 10 billion people affordable, nutritious, and sustainable food?
Okay. Remember when I mentioned that the tendency of this model when it has a single image is to animate both hands symmetrically? We see this up here in this top right model, right? That output, you see both hands moving. That's the assumption that the model is making. When it's given different information from the video, the way that the body is moving because the shoulder was kept down on one side, it kept that arm down on one side, and then you'll see that reflected in actually both of these bottom areas.
But how do we produce food without destroying nature? How do we deliver to 10 billion people affordable, nutritious, and sustainable food?
Yeah, really interesting to see how that's working. This type of research, these types of outputs, as they become incorporated into other products or even just downloadable resources from GitHub, because we can't download this right now. This is going to be really, really interesting and exciting to the creative community. It's also going to be very, very interesting and exciting to the cybercrime community. So that's OmniHuman-1. If you want to go down this rabbit hole and you've not really been keeping up with this type of model for the past year or so, there are some other things that you should be looking at. So first, look at anything from ByteDance, look at anything from Alibaba Group, and what you'll see is that there's a lot. Here is Emote Portrait Alive, generating expressive portrait videos with audio to video diffusion model under weak conditions, which is a mouthful. If we look at the research paper here, we can see that came out February 27th, 2024. This is almost a year old at this point. And this is really, really good. I'll show you this in comparison. So anybody that's seen the initial Sora video that had the woman walking down the streets in Tokyo will recognize this face. This person here that is the vocal source is Mira Murati, former CTO for OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT. And what you'll see is how they've taken this single image and they've animated it. There's lots of really cool stuff in this to be on the lookout for. So let me show this to you real quick.
Yeah, I think this is right now an inflection point where we're sort of, redefining how we interact with digital information.
Notice the reflections in the glasses,
through, the form
the blinking of her
AI
eyes,
systems that we
the way
collaborate
the
with,
earring
and
showed up on the other side when she turned her head.
And maybe they all have
motions in her
competences. And maybe
eyebrows,
we have a general one that kind of
all of that.
follows us
Really
around
cool.
everywhere, knows everything about, my context, what I've been up to today.
Again, this is about a year
what
old
my
at this
goals
point.
are, sort of in life, at work, and kind of guides me through and coaches me and so on. And
okay, but what if you wanted to also hear her sing? You could do that. I'm going to go down. All the science is in here too. It's interesting because this model and the other models like we just looked at with OmniHuman, they are working with understanding vocal inflection and the effect that that has on the human face with all the musculature and so on. So really, really interesting to see that because you can do a lot with that. I'm going to show you this real quick. Hopefully YouTube won't give me a copyright strike for doing it. But here we go. This is that single image fed with a fairly famous song that you'll recognize as we go through.
If you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, if you wanna believe that anything can stop me, don't show up, don't come out.
So check out the attitude on her face when she's singing. Pretty amazing. Again, this is about a year old. I'll leave it to you to look at this as well. I'll put all these links in the show notes. So that was from Alibaba Group about a year ago. That was Emote Portrait Alive. And just a couple weeks ago, we got EMO2, which is End Effector Guided Audio-Driven Avatar Video Generation. So you can see the paper here, January 18th, 2025. And again, really, really good stuff. So let me show you a couple clips from this, because this is an entire field of research that's happening, multiple groups, all working towards the same goal, which is realistic video output of a single image that has an emotional resonance in the way that the face moves, the way that all the musculature moves, the way that the face and the body move in space, all of that. And it's just coming along very, very well, very, very fast.
She be popping it, yeah, she put it down slowly. Oh, we home, he left the kids at home.
Notice how the hands are not moving as symmetrically as in the ByteDance version. A little bit of blurring when the fingers move. Let's go Yeah. Let's see this one.
Listen, Morty, I hate to break it to you, but what people call love is just a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed. It hits hard, Morty, then it slowly fades, leaving you stranded in a failing marriage. I did it. Your parents are gonna do it. Break the cycle, Morty.
Interesting. There seems to be more hand artifacting going on with this model. Still really good. The hands are moving independently. If we weren't looking for a deep fake, we probably wouldn't notice anything at all. We'd mentally just write it off as some effect of the camera or compression algorithm, so on. Let's see what it's like if they make Elon Musk sing.
You tell me that you need me, and you go and cut me down. But wait, tell me that you're sorry, didn't think I'd turn around.
The interesting thing about EMO2 is you'll see that they've done a lot of work on making the digits of the hands move separately into emote. So you'll see like these, curling of the hands and the way the fingers might move differently to accentuate different points. That's really, really cool to see. Let's see with this one.
I wake up to the sound of a silence that allows for my mind to run around with my ear up to the ground. I'm searching to behold the stories that I told when my back is to the world. I'm smiling when I turn.
I'm seeing issues with the fingers there where they're duplicating, getting like really, really skinny in there. So if you were to use a model like this deceptively, you would want to really make sure that you're paying attention to what the hands are doing, or you just crop in on the face or do something differently. That's pretty horrible. So again, not perfect, but the reason that they publish these imperfect results is to show you where the models are right now, not just to make themselves look good. And I think that that's really interesting. So lots more speaking versions of this as well. Let's see Jensen Wong.
America should be feeling humiliated right now. China made an app so popular that the government has to ban it. That means communist China beat free market America at capitalism. All right? That's like your whole thing, America, and you lost. This is as bad as that time that Asian dude won the hot dog eating contest 6 times in a row.
Really good hand movement on that. Really good lip sync as well. Even the emotion and the way that like when he was making the point about the guy that won the hot dog eating contest, he gestured appropriately. I thought that was really interesting. So you can go through all of these. There's some interesting comparisons with other models. There's a video that is both fun and slightly offensive with some different political figures here in the US. The really fun thing about these different bits of research is you see the research organizations, the people behind the research poking fun at and gently poking and playing with other researchers. So you saw like in this first version of Emote Portrait Alive, they're poking at OpenAI a little bit by picking the Sora model and grabbing an image from that and using Mira Murati, former CTO from OpenAI, as the driving voice behind that. So a little gentle poke. Over here, there's some interesting pokes not only at the other technologies, but also these are Chinese-based organizations poking at U.S. research, but also U.S. politics as well. So interesting to see how these things work out. I would encourage you with each of these, go through and where you see more research, go through and see the other things that they've been working on. It can be really instructive about where the space is going, especially when you see these things like animate anyone. You can understand some of what they're trying to do. I mean, a lot of this is trying to animate things for like TikTok dances, where you'd be able to take your image of you or your friend and have that get imposed over this wireframe, and then you get animated dancing. You know, picture of Iron Man over the wireframe, Iron Man dancing. Then you get the human dance generation, picture of the person. There's the wireframe of that. Then they've got it showing against another model, competing model, and then their model. So if you haven't seen enough dancing on TikTok yet, you're going to see more and more and more, because the group behind this, Alibaba Group and ByteDance, work together quite a bit. Here you'll see ByteDance there, Alibaba Group right there. There are lots of joint projects between these two companies, and imagine the amount of data that TikTok has. All of that can be used to train other models. And all of that has a variety of dialects, a variety of facial styles, or a variety of cultural representation. All of that is now being incorporated into models that can be used to represent really anything that somebody would want represented. And that is the future of these technologies, not only for fun, but also for things that could be weaponized. So I want you to keep that in mind. Every step forward for the fun content creation side also has a darker side that will be exploited, and will be exploited in ways that most of us may be intellectually aware of, but not cognitively ready for when it lands in our social media feeds or our news feeds. So you, as somebody who's watched a video like this, somebody who is doing research and is interested in the technology, you will be more aware and more prepared than many people around you, which means that it is up to you, up to me, up to people like us who are familiar with the technology, to ring the bell fairly loudly anytime you see something that's off, and show people around you what's possible. So with that, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if this is the kind of thing that you like to learn about, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button. Feel free to comment and let me know anything that you would want to see us cover in a future video. Thank you so much for your time, your attention, and hope to see you on the next one.